Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Honor the Feminine podcast. I'm your host, Shannon Ledford, and today we have Miyuki Yamamoto with us, and she is divine, so I'm excited to share her with you. As you know, we start each episode with an image and story from my travels, because when I was traveling is when I really started to hear my intuition again. When I got outside of the day-to-day chaos and expectations and noise, she started to whisper to me. And I know she was always there, but she'd just gotten muffled. So today, our image is called Face of Peace. It was taken at Bayon Temples of Angkor in Cambodia. The Temples of Angkor in Cambodia rise up out of the jungle. None is more impressive than Bayon at the center of Angkor Thom. Bayon was constructed around 1200 AD by Jama Marjan VII, the most prolific builder of all the Khmer kings. 216 humongous faces depict Avalokitesvara, the Buddhist god deemed the Lord who looks down on the world. The survival of these temples and the details within their construction is a testament to the incredible power and artistry of the ancestors of Cambodia. There is a strength that emanates from these peaceful faces. And this is the image that reminds me of our guest today, Miyuki Yamamoto. Miyuki, welcome.
Hi, thank you for inviting me to be on your show.
I'm so excited to play together today.
Me too.
So share yourself with us. Tell us about you.
Okay. Hi, I'm Miyuki. I am actually looking through the window, just rice fields filled with just water everywhere, just getting ready to be for the rice planting season. I currently live in Japan. I was born and grew up in Japan, but I left the country when I was 25 and lived in the United States for 12 years and then traveled to Spain in Europe. That's where I met my now husband, who is Australian. So I moved to Australia and lived there for 6 years, got married, have a daughter now, who is 6 years old, and moved back to Japan 4 years ago, a little over 4 years ago. It's a full circle. I left Japan because I wanted to pursue my career as a hospice nurse. So I come from that background. And when I was seeing patients at home in dying days and weeks and months, all the family dynamics, emotional struggles, spiritual pain, I decided to leave hospice field, and I have been trained as spiritual counselor and body-based psychology and system psychology, and that's the work I'm offering in Japan as well as United States. That's, I guess, me. So I'm married to a wonderful Australian husband, and I have a daughter who's 6 years old and live in Japan. Interesting life.
You have a global family.
Yes.
Yeah, very global family. I love it.
Yeah. Adventure.
I have to say, as you mentioned the rice fields, my favorite color in the world is that green of a full bloom rice field.
Yes. It's so bright. Oh. And it's reflected on this perfectly still mirror-like water, the surface. So it adds that sort of bright colors in the green.
Yeah, it amazes me. It's like no other green I've ever seen.
Yeah, very special. And then that turns into different shades of green, and then eventually turns into sort of greenish yellow and then golden. It turned into golden by the harvest season in September. Yeah.
And then I've watched the farmers in Southeast Asia then put it into that machine where there is just chaff flying out everywhere.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's such a beautiful reflection of our lives, right?
Oh gosh, yes. Yes.
The rice.
Yeah. The rice. See, I grew up in Japan, and I'm very connected to that circle of life and nature, traditional culture. At the same time, I was suffocating. And when I was 25, that's when I left the country. But now coming back at the age of 48, I appreciate that and feeling that is very, very much of my roots inside of me, which I didn't know when I was struggling and traveling and searching for my place, where do I belong, and that sort of self-discovery journey. Yeah. But now I'm here. Yeah.
My self-discovery journey took me out into the world also. And I came from a small community in California, and I can really appreciate it for what it is now in a way that I absolutely couldn't in my 20s.
Yeah, yeah. You traveled quite a bit.
I did.
Everywhere.
Yeah. I got pretty global.
Yeah. Yeah. You are still in this virtual sort of platform.
Yeah, that is very true. It hasn't in the last few years with my daughter, it hasn't been so much like feet on the ground global citizen, but yeah, the way in which I interact and the virtual, God, this beautiful virtual realm that's like opened up to us. I was sharing my schedule last week with my niece, and I was like, oh yeah, and so I'm talking to so-and-so in Bulgaria and so-and-so in Canada and so-and-so in Australia, and I realized, oh my gosh, wow, that's pretty amazing.
I know. That's global as it can be.
Yeah. Can you talk to us a little bit about moving from the hospice, which probably had a lot of shadow work in it, and with the death aspect? Can you speak into how that informs your work today?
Yeah. I like the way you said it, like a shadow work, because there's a lot of shadow comes out when someone is facing death, that the shadow that they hadn't recognized for their life, whether they're in 60s or 70s or 80s. So I have seen a lot and realized that when we are young and healthy and think our life is going to go on forever, we pursue a lot of things that are materials, like career, car, house, vacations, blah, blah, blah. And then I realized, seeing these patients facing the very last days of their life, reflecting upon, most of them recognize, wow, what I have been searching for or pursuing means very little, and realize, wow, I have been missing out of my life. So I have seen both that are very beautiful, like sacred gods, like sort of face their end of their lives, that are so peaceful, so complete. It's like ultimate surrender that you can see in the human form. At the same time, I also saw lots of living hell on earth, that people just struggle and fight, and guilt and anger and regret and resentment comes out that they themselves didn't recognize. So it taught me to really examine my life internally, like what is really important and meaningful. Because what I saw was really painful. Even when I remember those faces, like people realize, wow, my family is so important to me. Why didn't I, take time? Why didn't I, relationship, my dreams, my hopes, my real essence, I wanted to, I wish I had done that when I was 40. I had a chance. I missed it because I was looking at something else. Then they can see, oh, this is who I really am. It's not the car I drive. It's not the house I live in. It's not the color of the hair or the perfectly fine looking piece of clothes. That's who I am. But I only have days left. I only have weeks left. That both beautiful, sacred space that they drop in, but at the same time, I didn't get to use or enjoy or serve any of it. So I left hospice because I don't want to wait until people are dying to recognize this. I'm going to work with healthy, young people to see this essence, so that maybe they can just make different choices and different, take a different path. Maybe they may not get sick if they really live their life fully. So, we're going to die at some point, but maybe they won't have breast cancer, or, maybe they don't die from alcoholism.
Yeah, you're so right. We're all going to die at some point. That's
right.
True. But if we can be in service in this world the way we're meant to be, from our real divine essence, we not only transform our earthly beings on this lifetime ourselves, but the whole world gets touched. Yes. Could we all quit holding ourselves back? Because the world needs us, right?
More than ever. Yeah. Oh gosh. So every time, I do this work and I challenge myself. I always walk up to my own edge, and I get scared. And I said, oh my gosh, can I turn around and go back to my cozy, comfy life? Although it doesn't exist. But, this is too scary to, be on the podcast with Shannon, or offer this workshop for, 200 people, or, create this program. Maybe, who's going to no one cares, and who's going to like it. But I ask myself, if I don't do it, some piece of me will die right now. So I choose life, which comes with fear and anxiety and uncertainty, but this is my mantra. I choose life. And because in my hospice days, I heard this quote: people die in their 30s and be buried in their 80s. So I don't want to die until my physical body dies. I'm going to keep living. That means I have to sort of keep this flame, or the passion or curiosity, or this impulse to serve. Impulse as in my soul impulse, to let my essence be expressed in the way that I can in this world.
You've brought tears to my eyes with one piece of me will die right now if I don't follow this. Right. And I can remember being in my late 20s in New York as a corporate lawyer, and my soul was dying. And I've realized that when I picked myself up and put myself out into the world, right, that all of the reasons and logical ways that seemed irresponsible and, all of those things that come up, what I realized is that it was soul necessary.
Yes.
It had to be. Because I was dying.
Yeah. And it's so wise for you to follow that voice. Because it's not easy. I assume it wasn't easy for you to do that.
No, I didn't trust her back then. I didn't even know who she was or what she was about. It's easier now because we commune more regularly. And even though some of what she asks of me still seems highly illogical and crazy.
I know.
That part doesn't change.
I know. Like, take it easy. I'm trying. It's scary. You know. I know. It's fun.
Can you speak to us about your guides?
Oh, yeah. I've had numerous guides in the past ever since I have been in touch with my spiritual space or the presence of guides. It started out with really like, I thought I was going crazy that I see a little creature, like worms, like walking across my fields and showing me where to go. And like, no, I'm not seeing that. Or like a presence of lion that's like really soft, powerful, yet really soft kind of lion. I used to call it lion face. And so every time I need some guidance, I see or I feel a form of animals, or my grandmother who passed away, sometimes she came in and gave me some guidance. But these days I have two main characters, my guides, in my fields. Pretty much they're the dominant sort of guidance for me. And one is distinctively male sort of energy, and the other one is, I don't recognize their face so much as a female, but have a very sort of soft, receptive, compassionate flow. So I bring in both of them when I need help or guidance or scared. Sometimes they tell me what I don't want to hear, but they'll always have my back. I have established that level of faith and trust with them.
Yeah. So do you hear words, or is it more of a feeling?
Oh, it's a feeling. And I guess my body translates that to words. Or sometimes it's the image. Sometimes it's the feeling of like a switch going on and off. It's really subtle, but switch of yes, that's a yes, that's a yes. And now I feel it enough to know, wow, I don't want to go there, but it's a yes, I guess. So that's the kind of feeling I get. And yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I meditate, I feel like a big hand coming in front of me, like, take my hand. And I'm like, I don't want to take your hand. I don't know where you're going to take me. That kind of conversation that happens in my meditation, I go back and forth. But you ask for help. Why don't you take my hand? I said, well, I'm scared. I don't want to take your, go. But don't you trust me?
Oh, trust is so big.
Oh, I know. I want to, but I don't. And I trust you. I don't know where my life is going to go. And they go, but you asked for adventure. I know. That's a scary one. I want a non-scary adventure.
Yeah, sometimes they don't let you be as specific as you desire to be, right? Like, I want a non-scary, stay in my comfort zone abundance. Yes. And they're like, yeah, you can't have all of that.
Can you give me the itinerary, the whole plan, so that I know exactly where I'm going and the timetable and what to pack and who's coming along?
Right. They're a big no to that. At least mine are. Yeah. Mine are a big no to like giving me all the details.
It's not in their realm. It's not their language. And so.
Yeah. Gorgeous. And so when you work with clients, do you help them get in touch with their guides? In indirect ways, I think I am doing that, but I don't necessarily use that particular language.
But when I work with the clients, I feel that when they are out of touch, there's a particular sense in their voice, their face, their body. I mean, I've been there, just all this resisting and ego driven, and, I can't, so, and then when I make an inquiry, keep asking them what's going on in your body, how you feel right now, mirroring, reflecting. And there's a specific moment, there's a feeling that they get it. Like, and then the tear comes up, the whole energy changed. And there's no language to describe it oftentimes. And when I ask them what's happening for you right now, just no words, just tears and just like a trembling of their body vibrating. That's when I know, okay, wow, they dropped in. And even if they don't have a language around, they can feel themselves in that space. Yeah.
And that speaks to me so beautifully to, it's all contained within us. All the knowledge, all of our divinity is contained within, and we're remembering.
That's right. Yeah. I tell my clients, I'm not giving you anything. I can't give you advice. I can't tell you what to do, but I'm going to help you what's inside all along that we forgot.
And some of our guides are earthly beings in this time with us, and some of them are more cosmic.
Yeah, that's right.
It's all, to me, around that bigger just remembering of the divine essence that lives in each of us. And you know what? It's your divine right to commune with your divine essence, just the way it's mine and everyone who's listening.
Right. Oh, and so many of us just say no to that unconsciously or consciously. Like, I can't go there. I'm not worth it. I don't deserve it.
I'm so tired of saying no to that. I mean, in so many ways, I do say yes to that now, but there's still ways in which I say no, and I am just so tired of saying no.
And then I'm sure it takes more energy to say no to that than yes, than saying yes. That's when I feel frustrated, resentful, anxious, because I'm saying no to something that I'm supposed to say yes.
Yeah, and that's all that resistance and ego to keep us safe. And it's not keeping us safe.
Right. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Ego trips us. Like, this is the safe way. You won't get rejected if you don't if you don't speak up. But I'm not going to listen to that.
I have actual conversations with my ego at times. Like, hi, I feel you. I know you're trying to keep me safe. I really appreciate that. This is not the time for it.
Right. That's right.
Yeah. Sometimes we have to have that discussion over and over again.
Yeah. They're in my backseat all the time. All the time. Backseat driver. Like, no, you're not driving.
Yep.
I'm driving.
It's beautiful to have that communion with some of that, though, and to feel into it some, because it does come up, and we all have it.
Oh, yes.
But to be able to recognize when it is, like, that's powerful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you don't have to leave the body to do that. I used to think when I was studying my spirituality and when I just started this, I felt I misunderstood that being spiritual or being in touch with that space, I have to be somewhere that is perfectly quiet, like in the cave, or I shouldn't have any of these ego voices in the background. I'm not spiritual enough if I'm scared. I'm not spiritual enough if I want, I don't know, ice cream every once in a while. I have to be always have to live on the air kind of thing. That was a struggle for me, that I have this rigid belief system or traditional guidelines. And I used to believe in God as if he was my father or mother, those sort of punitive, judgmental, comes with certain rules and dogma and conditional. And it was hard. It's still hard for me to break through that and still trust, trust that, this is okay. This is okay.
Yeah. Well, and I think there's something so beautiful to drop into the meditation space, to do those quiet spaces. But in order to really make shifts out in the world, we then have to be out in the world and integrate that in ourselves. Dip in, come out, and integrate. Dip in, come out, and then integrate. So,
I used to think I have to leave my meditative state at the altar, and I leave for work or whatever. Then it's like, where is that person? I used to leave it at the altar. Now it's like, okay, come with me. You can drive with me. You can have a meeting with this person.
That's interesting because even as I talk about when I was traveling, I started to hear the whispers of my intuition again. And she and I would commune when I was abroad a lot and with the real ease. I would come back to all of the noise and expectations and chaos, and we would be disconnected again. Like I would leave her out in the world almost, I gotta go take another trip. I gotta go get her.
Yes, that's right. You have to bring her back with you.
And I do that much better now. But it took a number of years, to be honest, for me.
Yeah. It's a practice. Yeah, we forget. So easy to forget.
Yeah. Even in all the remembering, it's so easy to forget.
Yeah. But it's delicious to remember. When you remember, it's like,
I want to take a moment for a sacred pause to share 11 days of devotion to divine union with you. It's a new video interview series that Ava Aldinolfi and I have created, and it's a free way to take a deep dive into these potent and magical conversations around how divine union shows up for you and the intertwining of the sacred masculine and the divine feminine energies that we all have within us, how we intertwine those within. It has been amazing to be part of this incredible project. So you can sign up for free at rememberingdivineunion.com, and you'll get access to the video interview series in your inbox. All right, everyone, back to the show. So can you speak to us about how you honor the feminine and stay in touch with your intuition?
Honor the feminine and stay in touch with the intuition. Yes, I think for me, it's meditation, as we've been talking about. And also, returning to Japan, I realized that I am so connected to the mountains, the landscapes. And my last name, Yamamoto, in our language, the character, means base of the mountains. So whenever I just see, especially in my home country, Kumamoto City, in south of Japan, in the island of Kyushu, there's really like the biggest volcanic caldera of the whole Southeast Asia. And it's just a whole mountain range. It's like a bowl. It used to be a big and ginormous volcano that erupted a few thousands years ago. And now it's just a bowl of volcanic sort of caldera. And every time I see that sort of image, or whenever I go into the caldera, it's like, I think, 10 miles in diameter, that I feel home. Like they call me home. It's like, come home and just be nourished. And, that's interestingly that the volcanic mountain range is my feminine sort of essence. That it's still active, so you can see lots of hot springs and very fertile ground. So that's, to me, it's that power, fertility, just encompassing all the destruction, the growth, the life, the death, the whole cycle.
Wow.
For the feminine essence.
Well, when you speak into that Yamamoto means, the base of the mountain, that's also the root chakra.
Yes, that's it. Yeah. As often as I feel ungrounded, it's like, oh, that's I better stay grounded. It's my name.
Well, and interestingly, you and I will have already been to Mount Shasta. We haven't been yet, but we're meeting up there in a couple of weeks. But by the time this airs, we will have been there. And
Excited.
Mount Shasta, as far as the dragon, rainbow serpent ley lines, is the root chakra of the world. So I am meeting the woman who is the base of the mountain by name in the root chakra energy of our world at Mount Shasta in California.
Yeah.
I'm feeling pretty lucky right now, y'all.
I'm called to be there. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, the way I was called. I mean, I actually grew up only about, I guess Shasta's 4.5, 5 hours from where I grew up. And so I'd been a few times. It's been a lot of years. So it was, I was feeling very called to be there.
You return to remember something.
Well, now I realize I've been called to be there with the woman who is the base of the mountain. Very interesting.
Very interesting. We'll see. We'll see how it's unfolds.
I'm sure it will unfold with magical beauty that we cannot even imagine.
Oh, I feel it.
Me too.
Yeah.
What are you most excited about with regard to your work right now? Like, what has you most excited?
Well, it's interesting because I feel, this is my intuition telling me about 6 months ago, that this year will be a turning point in every which way, personal, career-wise, family. Last year, in this area, in Kumamoto City, we had a huge earthquake, and that, talk about the whole ground underneath you shifting and trembling, and the aftershakes didn't stop for 6 months. We had 2,000 aftershakes within last year. So my whole body, whole orientation has shifted. I felt like, luckily I was safe. Our house is still standing and we're all good. But I felt like something shifted inside of me. And then U.S. election happened, which affected me because I lived here for 12 years. And my husband is half American and half Australian. And I feel like the whole world is, shifting. And again, I took the hand of my guide, one of my guides. I don't know where he's taking me, but I feel like I am here to offer a work to globally for women to wake up to our own powers and trying to stir the ship. And I have a daughter, and I feel strongly that, again, going back to my hospice age, that at the moment when I die, looking into my daughter's eyes and said, as a woman, I have done everything I could as a woman to make the path for you to be the most powerful and light-filled, compassionate woman that you can be, or for the society. So my work is one by one person at a time, one meditation at a time, one trip at a time, one conversations with my daughter at a time. I guess that's what's exciting, challenging, but exciting.
Yeah. I can feel that challenge and excitement too, because, my daughter's almost 4. And, when I feel into why do I do the podcast, it's truthfully for my healing that then can radiate out, right? So that we come together. But when I heal for us both. I heal for my ancestral lineage. And so to create a container for her to be the woman that she desires to be in a world where she can do that. And there needs to be a lot of us collectively doing that. And I feel extremely blessed to have so many gorgeous, amazing, strong women who I call soul sisters that are collectively doing this.
Yes. I trust that. That connections, that web of woman's intention, longing for the world to be peaceful and kind, compassionate.
Yeah. On that note, my love, are you ready for the random questions?
Yes. Not scary ones.
None of it's scary. So the first one is, if you could sit down with a woman, alive or dead, for a chat and tea, who would it be?
Oh, I love to sit down with my my grandmother who passed away. 20 years ago.
What would you ask her?
Oh, what it was like for her to be a woman in that small village in the mountain. And I knew she was fierce, very, very passionate. Like what was her struggles? What was her victories? What was her hopes for her lineage?
Gorgeous. And the second question is, where would you most like to travel?
Now I so many places, but what came to me was Paris. Ooh. And I want to take my daughter to Paris. We've been talking about this. Like when you grow up, I guess a few more years, I would love to travel to Paris with my daughter.
Oh, I can't wait to hear about that trip. That'll be so fun.
That'll be fun.
So how do we reach out and connect with you?
I am actually offering a retreat in November in Japan, a week-long retreat in the Aso mountain range that I just mentioned with my co-facilitator, Amy Tatsumi. That will be the best place to reach me so that we can be in person and play with our feminine and honor this, I guess, wonderful volcanic, fertile earth energy. That'll be happening in November, and the website is at www.amytatsumi.com/retreats. That's the English website. I have a website, but currently it's all in Japanese, but it's www.eqcollege.net.
And we will put all of those links in the show notes for this episode at honorthefeminine.com so people can tap in really easily. You guys, so the retreat in Japan in November is going to have this similar feel to the Mount Shasta retreat. And I just have to tell you that if you are feeling the pain of playing small and you've been desiring to like play big and you know there's so much in you and you're ready to tap in your divine essence and radiate it out, please look into this. Please.
It's powerful.
It's so powerful.
And we're going to have lots of fun with great food. We have day trips, and we're going to town for shopping for one afternoon, so you get to have that. And but most of the time we stay in this volcanic caldera, the bowl of this volcanic active earth energy. They'll just welcome us into just being in touch with how powerful and big and magnificent we are.
Gorgeous. My love, thank you for today.
Oh, thank you. I had such a great time with you.
I always have such a great time with you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Hello again, everyone. I loved being with Miyuki. And not only did I love sharing her today on the podcast, but I also loved diving really deeply with her in Mount Shasta back in July. She and Amy Tatsumi run just these incredible retreats, and Mount Shasta really changed my life. And one of the gifts that Miyuki brought was constellation work. And it was such a beautiful way to intertwine energy and intuition and really being in the moment. Miyuki's really amazing. And Amy and Miyuki's retreat in Osso, Japan, later this year in November 2017, I know will be incredible. So if you would like to drop in and connect more deeply with Miyuki, you can go over to the show notes for this episode at honorthefeminine.com. We took a sacred pause to feel into 11 days of devotion to divine union. I can't speak strongly enough about how excited I am around this free interview series. So if that interests you or intrigues you, the idea of divine union, please go over to rememberingdivineunion.com. Ava and I are also offering free energy activation calls. So they're 30-minute calls with us to drop in. And it's been really exciting to start to do these as well. And you can find those at Remembering Divine Union also. I also invite you to subscribe to the podcast. We have some amazing guests coming up in the coming weeks that you don't want to miss. All right, everyone. Have a magical day.